Yo, 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 what's going on? What's going on? Thank you for tuning in to another Daily Fitness live stream show. It is the weekend. Your boy have to get an early morning stream this weekend because the streams that I had did over this related topic screwed up. So now we got to redo the stream because of some microphone issues. So we're going to have to make sure that the microphone ain't screwed up this time around. But hopefully you're having a good weekend as we run through this stream. I have to power through this stream because I got shit I got to do today. But hey, it is what it is. How's everybody doing today? All right, let me see, get everything situated so I ain't tripping. Let me make sure my mic is working. I mean, I see the signal. I just got to double check myself. There we go. I can hear myself. Okay, we good. Well, anyway, hopefully everybody having a good weekend, all that good stuff, man. We were just sitting here for to go ahead and go back over a stream that I did already, but my microphone was just terrible, was god awful. But I think I figured out what it was. But I'm going to keep checking. You can see my eyes keep rolling down to make sure that my microphone signal is going through well and all that good stuff. And we're going to get this stream done with and over with real quick because I don't have much time to deal with. So we are going to talk about the topic that I was going for, which was, what was this damn topic? What is this related to? POV. This is related to, oh no, don't tell me that my things, we going to be struggle streaming today, y'all.
We Americans don't have.
No, okay, sleeper cells. We're going over sleeper cells today. So the topic is going to be sleeper cells. I'm going to speak on sleeper cells from 3 different perspectives. We got to go through sleeper cell from a political perspective, sleeper cell from a spiritual perspective, and sleeper cell from a racial perspective, but not color. Not color, but race, like a Anunnaki or a gray or a reptilian or a Pleiadian or something like that. So I'm gonna go and we're gonna look into what a sleeper cell is. So it's got the CIA guy who is either ex-CIA or current, probably ex-CIA. I don't think he'd be talking like this if he was still current CIA, but he's gonna bring up how sleeper cells work, how they work and what they do and how they put it together, how somebody becomes a sleeper cell and how they're activated and all this good stuff. And then I'm going to tie it into things that we've seen and things that we've dealt with to see exactly a lot of extreme like relatable cases as to, is it just sleeper cells that we've been seeing or could it be more to it than that? And you're going to see here in a minute once I break all this stuff down. So let me make sure I got everything set up right. Let me see. We got this here. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So we good. Let me make sure this is... No, this isn't everything I need. Okay, so we got all this stuff set up. So I got to make sure I got this right because I don't want to screw this up like I did earlier. Well, I didn't screw it up last time. Last time it was good. It's just that whenever I was doing it, I had a bunch of other situations that got in the way. But anyway, we're going to run through this real quick. And we're going to do this, we got about 1 hour or less to get this done in. But we're going to get an understanding of sleeper cells and how these bad boys work and what exactly are their purposes and all that goodness. And if they're being explained to us in the correct way, or is there another way to look at it? And hold on, you probably hearing because I gotta go back and mute my goddamn whatchamacallits tabs that were open. Okay, cool. I think we are good to go. I think this is it. All right, cool. So first guy we're going to jump into, Mr. Man here is going to speak to us about sleeper cells. He's going to speak about how they work, how they put them together, and just the history of how they do things. And then I'm going to show you something that's a very relatable case as to what could have been a sleeper cell situation, but we looked at it as voter fraud. It's going to be interesting when you see it, when I put them together for you. So just, hold yourself in, sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and dive right into this real quick. So here we go. First video we got this gentleman here. He's going to speak about how sleeper cells are trained and planted for spying. So here we go.
No other country that we know of uses sleeper agents. A sleeper agent is someone who is taken virtually from birth and trained to be of another nationality.
Appreciate you, Mr. Oliver. Thank you, sir.
You're born in Russia.
Oliver Adams,
and
I should
from
say.
The age of 2, they take you from your family with your family's acquiescence, and they take you to an American-style town that they've built out in the hinterland in Russia. And they teach you to speak English with an American accent. you watch American TV shows, you watch American movies, you eat American food, you get an American style education. So I have no idea that you're not American.
Okay, so this isn't too far-fetched to believe, right? So right now he's talking about how sleeper cells work, and what he's saying is that they'll grab somebody young age, 2, 3 years old, with parents' consent or whatever, take them out into a far village within whatever country that they're in, and they'll basically raise them up within the country, but with a different culture within the country, like American, for example. And let's say you're in Russia, but they got like a little bitty town or whatever that's just like 100% Americanized. So you're brought up around Russian American movies, American food, American language, lingo, so you don't even have an accent or nothing like that. So it's not hard to believe, it's not far-fetched to believe, especially in today's society with the Epstein files that then came out and all sorts of crazy shit, that nothing's hard to believe. And all the conspiracy theories then turned into facts at this point. It's not hard to believe that different countries would have something like this set up. Now, again, we're looking at this from a political standpoint of view. So this is the political side of sleeper cells, all right? So we're going political first. So he's speaking on it from that perspective and saying that any country, I would say, could have a whole village that's completely different than what their country is, but for purposes of raising somebody to be a sleeper cell in order to send them somewhere else, which, we see this a lot of times with immigrants. We see immigrants that have like great, speaking of whatever language that they have from whatever country they came from, and they'll be like, oh, I'm from such and such, but in reality, are they from that place? Or do we just hear them speaking a language, speaking English so well, we believe them, but really they could have probably only been here for like 3 to 5 years. Anyway, let's let them keep cooking. Here we go.
Speak English just like I do. You know all the same, social references that I make. You follow the Philadelphia Eagles, or the, San Francisco 49ers or whatever. And then they send you to the United States with a fake ID. What they'll do is they'll go through, I was born in 1964, so they'll go through death records from 1964 and they'll look for deaths where the person was only a day or two old. And they'll take that name and the birth date and they'll get a social security card with the birth date. And then they'll use the social security card to get you a passport, an American passport. So you come here on your American passport.
Okay, so that's the part I want to pay attention to. So he basically said that you basically come here, you got a social security card, you got a passport, you got somebody else's identity that already died. Okay, so a sleeper cell person, from a political point of view, they basically raise you to whatever culture that they're trying to get you to invade, and then they basically get you somebody who died. You get their social security number, you get a birth certificate and all this stuff, a passport and all this stuff. You get all this stuff set up from a dead person. Now, where have we heard this before? I'm gonna show you. And it was crazy when you look at it and you think about it. You probably have to think back and be like, well, damn, that possibly could have been the case, but it was disguised as something else. Let me show you right here. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Where are we at? Right here. All right, so here it is. I got it right here. Here's one of them. We'll have to go over two of them. So the first one I have is this. If you remember, we had a big ordeal that went down. And it says right here, Dominion contractor testified that over 30,000 ballots were scanned multiple times in Michigan 2020 election. Dead people were voting, and that the poll books were cooked and easily off by 100,000 registered voters with turnout rates over 100%. Now, it says right here, 30,000 ballots were scanned multiple times, and also dead people were voting. Now, what the other dude just said was he basically mentioned that a lot of the people who become sleeper cell people, he basically mentioned that they will turn around, get them a social security number from somebody who died, get them a passport and everything, and basically kind of get them citizenship, in a sense, to whatever country they're going into. He's basically saying that they use dead people for people to become sleeper cells in order for them to, invade without anything showing. But when we look at things like this, when we look at this right here, we have dying to vote. North Carolina removes 34,000 dead people from voter polls. So when we were seeing all these things, we kept seeing this. North Carolina election finds 34,000 dead people on voter polls. It shows right here. Assistant AG Harmon, whatever her name is, just dropped bombshell. 350,000 dead people still listed as voters, 25,000 non-citizens. So you got to ask yourself, were these people, whenever they were doing the voting, were these all dead voters, or were some of them sleeper cell agents invading the country? So then when they give us the story, we think that there were dead voters and it was all fraud. But in reality, if you go back and listen to what this dude just said, he basically said that the way that they get these people over with sleeper cells is by using dead people's social security, dead people's information, and utilizing a passport. So all of those voter frauds that they discovered probably were not all dead people only. It could have been dead people, but it could have been sleeper cell agent people who were voting. So we only see it for, dead people that was voting. We're like, oh, it's fraud, it's fraud, it's fraud. But really, what we were really seeing was a fucking invasion. And we don't even realize it. What we really see is an invasion. And maybe the 350, 34,000, whatever number it is, they're all not just dead voters. Some of them voters could have been fucking sleeper cell people coming in the country, because he just broke this down to us right here. I'll play it again so you can hear him. Let me put him back up real quick. Let me play him right here. 1 second. Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. This is what he says. This is what he says right here. Listen.
Where the person was only a day or two old. So they'll go through death records with a fake ID. What they'll do is they'll go through, I was born in 1964, so they'll go through death records from 1964 and they'll look for deaths where the person was only a day or two old. And they'll take that name and the birth date and they'll get a social security card with the birth date. And then they'll use the social security card to get you a passport. An American passport. So you come here on your American passport, everything's legit. Now your name is, Bob Smith, which was really that baby's name that died. And you get a job, let's say.
You see, so everything seems legit. Dude's clearly not a Dallas fan referencing those teams. No, he's not a Dallas fan at all. But when you look at what he just said, though, it's clearly everything looks clear. Everything looks fine. You had like you said, you had the dead baby's name or whatever, John Doe or Bob, whatever the name was. But it doesn't come out until we see shit like this. When we see that somebody testified and 30,000 of the ballots were double scanned and dead people were voting. You know what I'm saying? When we see these things, 350,000 dead people still listed as voters. So when he's saying that, is he saying that all the voters were dead, or were some dead, but some of those dead voters were sleeper cell agents the entire time? So what was being uncovered as fraud was really some fucking sleeper cells. And we got to sit there and think like, oh boy, that is no bueno. I'm just saying, this is me thinking outside the box, but it makes sense when you look at it. It really does make sense. If you put two and two together, it makes sense, because you're making sleeper cell agents. And when people do find out that you're a sleeper cell agent, the only way they can find out is if you do something that triggers it. But when you do something that triggers it, for example, voting, voter fraud, people look at it as, oh, dead people were voting, that side cheated. But no, it's not just that they cheated. It could be that you're getting invaded by motherfuckers who had sleeper cell agent people the entire time coming over. So people don't look at the big picture. They think like, oh yeah, they cheated, but it's like, no. Some of them people wasn't dead. Some of those people were probably sleeper cell agents that came over here, bro. Like, think about it. And he's explaining it thoroughly. He's doing a great job explaining it. But I'm gonna let him finish up his talking because he's almost done. Let's let him finish cooking. Here we go.
As a travel agent. And you may work as a travel agent for 20 years and never hear from them. But then they'll activate you and they'll say, we want you to go take care of this target over here.
Kill him.
Yeah. Or we want you to get a job at the Defense Department and give us everything that you can steal. Whatever. There's a woman in my neighborhood who was outed as a sleeper about a year ago. She was an elementary school teacher, and they grabbed her, and they ended up trading her back to the Russians for 2 Americans. We Americans...
Okay, so there goes that. He basically summed it up in a nutshell, but Josh says right here, what ticket do you think they're voting for? Ticket? You mean like party? If you mean party, I would say it would have to be Democrat in this situation, because Trump was the one that went back and went and found all these damn ballots and stuff for, you know, a lot of the, you know, stuff that he said that was cheating. This is all Trump doing with all the, you know, checking the ballots and shit. So I would say if this is all being checked, it would have to be on the Democrat side, if that's what you mean by ticket. I would say it's on the Democrat side because that's the side that was getting looked into. But either way it goes, on the political side, I mean, I would say that all the dead voting ballots could have like not just been dead people. They could have been sleeper cell people that were voting, whether it was red or blue. I don't think it even matters because like motherfuckers invading. It don't even matter. Like if you're invading, it doesn't matter if you vote red or blue at this point. I'm like, motherfucker, you here. So like you just waiting on the phone call. You just like, just waiting on the moment. Motherfucker, give me that call, bro. I'm about to fuck some shit up. That's what I see it as. But I have another video here that I want us to look at for the sleeper cells. And this one is a pretty good one. This one kind of breaks down in an animated way on how sleeper cells work and how they infiltrate, again, on a political standpoint. Because like I said, I'm going to break this down in 3 ways: political, spiritual, and racial. But not racial as in color, but racial as in different races like Anunnaki and Greys and Pleiadians and reptilians. So this one's going to break down on an animated sense how sleeper cells work, but on an animated sense, but it's going to make a lot of sense on how they explain this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Here we go.
An enemy. Agents who live among us, working normal jobs, raising families, and patiently waiting. They are sleeper cells, a tactic of espionage and terror that has been used for centuries. A sleeper cell is a group of clandestine operatives who remain dormant in a target country for an extended period. Their goal is to avoid detection by blending seamlessly into society, making them incredibly difficult to track. This strategy is not new. During the Cold War, Soviet intelligence, the KGB, deployed illegals, deep cover agents who adopted meticulously crafted false identities. One of the most famous was Rudolf Abel, a Soviet spy who operated war. Soviet intelligence, the KGB, deployed illegals, deep cover agents who adopted meticulously crafted false identities.
He said the KGB agents deployed illegals. I don't know about you, but for the past quite a few years in America, we've been having a pretty big issue with illegals. I mean, a shitload of illegals. So, like, I'll be wondering, like, how many can be well-documented sleeper cell agents and how many could just be, you know, illegals? And this is the thing. They just spoke on this and they said that they could be anybody. So it could be your barista, it could be a doctor, it could be your nurse. It could be the person that work at McDonald's. It could be a teacher at your school teaching your kids. It could be it could be your sports coaches. It could be anybody, your insurance agents. Like, there's no limit to who it could be. Hell, it could be fucking sugar babies at this point. You can't put that past it. It could be anybody, anywhere doing this, because you can get information from anybody. I mean, think about it. It makes perfect sense. Sleeper cells could be anyone whatsoever. So if they said that the KGB back then was deploying illegals as a task of sleeper cells, well, I mean, shit, we see a whole lot of that going on right about now. But I digress. I'm just entertaining. Let's keep going. Let's finish this up.
One of the most famous was Rudolf Abel, a Soviet spy who operated a network in New York City in the 1950s. He lived as an artist and photographer, a perfect cover that allowed him to gather intelligence for years before his capture. The operatives are trained to be self-sufficient, often working blue-collar jobs and avoiding any behavior that might draw suspicion. They build a legend or a believable backstory that can withstand scrutiny. Communication is minimal and highly secure. Sleepers might receive their activation signal through coded messages hidden in public broadcasts or through a brief, pre-arranged encounter with a handler.
Through a brief, pre-arranged encounter with a handler. Now, how many times have we been talking about these celebrities being Illuminati and all this crazy stuff, and we like, they have a handler, they have a handler. It's like we've been seeing that, but now you take this idea and you put it across everything. Nothing is untouched. Every facet of life, every job you can think of, everything imaginable you can think of, you put the sleeper cell context on a political aspect across every job you can think of. So there is nothing that could be untouched. There's nothing that could be safe as far as sleeper cell proof, if you want to say it like that. So anything. So people could have handlers, and people could also have, through social media, different content creators, you know what I mean? Maybe like through Discord or any social media accounts, they could be communicating with each other, or, using activation codes. Like you've probably seen, what's that thing where, oh man, there's been times where like, what was like Cardi B, she had a thing where like somebody said a word and she froze in place. And they had to like say some words and then she snapped out of it. Or I think they even happened to Katy Perry a couple times. Like code words will like freeze people and they'll just be stuck. And then you say something, they come back to, and it's like, oh shit. So who knows? Those could be sleeper cell people. You never know what it could be, but it could be anything in this situation. But let's go and let them keep going. Let's let them finish.
In 2010, the FBI dismantled a large Russian sleeper ring of illegals in the United States. These spies were tasked with infiltrating American policymaking circles, though their success was limited. Unlike the spies of the Cold War, many modern sleeper agents aren't necessarily foreign nationals. They can be radicalized citizens of the target country, making them even harder to identify. These homegrown...
They could be radicalized citizens of the target country. Bruh, these damn liberals, these liberals in America that's like pro-Minnesota. Is it Minnesota? Is it Minnesota? I think with the Leering Center with Ilhan Omar and what's his name? Tampon Tim Waltz. Yeah, like the liberals. How we know that a bunch of them ain't some radicalized like sleeper cell people? Like think about it. We've had movies over the years that showed us that what sleeper cells could be. Like, think about it. I'll show you a movie. I'm gonna let him keep talking, but I'm gonna pull up this movie, and you've probably seen this old school movie, which is a complete, it's a complete understanding of what a sleeper cell could be. I'm gonna show you here in a second. Let me let this dude keep talking. I'm gonna pull it up on the side. Here we go.
Agents often operate in small, isolated cells, or even as lone wolves, inspired by an ideology and activated by online propaganda rather than a direct handler. Counterintelligence agencies face a monumental task. They must sift through immense amounts of data and intelligence, searching for the faint signals of a hidden plot before the sleepers are awakened. The sleeper cell remains one of the most challenging threats in modern security. A patient, hidden danger that tests the vigilance of nations and their intelligence services to the absolute limit. They are the hidden enemy.
Okay, so now I'm trying to find this clip in this movie real quick. I didn't know that it wasn't that much left on this thing. I'm trying to find this old school movie. Let me see. Yeah, it is scary. It is scary. Let me see if I can find this real quick. In this movie, this old school movie, but good Lord, how do I find this? You know what? I'll find it up here. I could find it right here. Let me see. I know I can find this. This will be a good depiction of a sleeper cell agent in a movie way back in the day. Let's see. Baseball, robot. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Robot activation. Who was the guy? Oh man, can I find it? Let's see. I'm not gonna be able to find it off top. Let me keep going with the show, and then I'll find it here in a second, because it's hard to find. I remember it in this movie. I just don't remember exact. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. I can't believe I found it. I can't believe I freaking found it. All right, let me let this ad go real quick. And I can't play the sound to the movie because, you know, they'll get me with a copyright. Let's see. Let's see. Indirect piano. It's okay. So is this it? Yeah, this is it. But I'm trying to find a part where he got activated. So, let's see. Baseball player. Shoots Queen. Was it the Queen? I think the Queen was in that movie. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. Okay, here it go. Here it go. You remember this movie? All right, so way back in the day, I can't play the sound, and I'm gonna be swinging because like a gnat or something flying. So way back in the day, there's a movie called Naked Gun, and on this movie, or in this movie, this is an example of a sleeper cell. Check this out. I can't play the sound because they probably gonna give me a YouTube copyright, and I may have to edit this out after I do the show or whatever. So this might not show up whenever I play them, whenever I play it back, or have to post the video live or whatever. But in this movie, this is Naked Gun, 1988. Look at this. Do you remember this movie? All right, so watch. So this guy out here, I think he has a button in his hand. He's about to hit this button, and it's gonna activate the baseball player, and the baseball player is gonna get a gun and try to go after and kill the Queen. Watch what he does. Look, see, he just hit the button. Watch his finger. He pushed the button, activated. Something in him got activated, so he drops the glove, and he's like, up. It's go time. There it is. And he's been activated. He was playing baseball the entire game. Wouldn't have thought nothing about it. He was playing baseball. You see, he knows he just activated him. Reaches under, goes and grabs a strap. He knows what he has to go do. So now he's going to go get the Queen. Bro, he was playing a whole baseball game in the outfield. I think it was a second baseman or outfielder the whole time. Bro. So we've seen sleeper cells, and they've been telling us about these things in movies for God knows how long. I mean, it's never a hidden secret. They always tell you what they gonna do, and they don't hide it from you. They let you know, and it's up to you if you believe this shit or not. All right, so let's see here what we got next. All right, so let's see here. Who do we have? I'm gonna go to this part next. All right, so now that's gonna be a sleeper cell, in my opinion, when we look at it from a political point of view. All right, so next we're going to go to, in my opinion, we're gonna look at a sleeper cell from a, how do you say it? A race point of view, from like a different species race, like a reptilian, a Pleiadian, or whatever different kind of Anunnaki, whatever you want to think. All right, we're gonna look at sleeper cell from that perspective, right? So moving political, we're going over to if a different race was part of the sleeper cell thing. So he says, Josh says, bruh, yes, Minnesota. Stuck if totally nuts. Hey, just to let you know, your message just came up, so this is going to give you an idea of like the delay and when you send a message and when I get it, so you know like the time frame of how long it is when I see it to when I respond to it. But yes, you're right, Minnesota is totally nuts right now. So the next thing we'll look at, so the sleeper cell from a race point of view, I found this or whatever, cartoon. It's called Invisible. And in this thing, this dude broke down like a science of what it would look like if a different race reptilian Anunnaki came in and infiltrated the human race, and if they did sleeper cells from a race perspective. So check this out. Now this might get taken away. I might get copyright for this. I hope I don't. But if I do, damn, this won't be on the playback. So if you watch the playback and you just see like the video jump, I was watching Invisibles, and this is what happens when Thrag is talking to Thrag. Who are you talking to? It says Invincible finds Thrag on Earth. It's season 4. So we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this clip, and Thrag, this dude Thrag, is gonna speak to him and basically explain to him sleeper cells from a race perspective, from a whole different race perspective. Before I hit play, Josh says we saw several examples. The left radicalized over ICE, radicalized over Charlie Kirk, etc. People are gullible. Yes, they are. They're gullible and they stupid, but you know, ain't nothing I can do. I can't save the world. All I can do is give you my 2 cents and give you my perspective. And if you hear it, you hear it. You don't, you don't. But yes, them people out there is wild. They're out there wilding. But I always look at it like this. You know, we on a slow decline that's happening, and we going from capitalism to communism, and it's going to happen. It sucks, but you know, you just gotta move the way you need to move accordingly and plan accordingly for what's going to happen. That's how I look at it, because it's getting crazy out there. So here we go. We're going to watch this clip of Thrag from the Invisibles, and he's going to speak on, again, race, but we're going to look at it from a sleeper cell perspective. So here we go. This is on Prime, by the way, but here we go. You see Thrag here. Thrag is basically speaking on a different race. They come from a different planet called Viltrum or whatever, right? He said there's 37 of them left. They'll be able to take over, but they're using Earth to basically bring their race back to life because they need to repopulate or whatever with their race in order to, you know, survive. It's just a whole survival tactic, and they're going to use Earth as this thing. Now, listen to what he says, and you can apply a sleeper cell ideology, or we're going to apply the sleeper cell ideology to if a different race infiltrates Earth, and look at how it would look from this perspective. Check this out. Bruh, listen to what this man is saying. Okay, so let's look at it from this perspective. Imagine, let's just say, for example, a different race, Anunnaki, reptilian, Pleiadian, whatever you want to call it, comes to Earth, right? Then they do what he said is doing. They use the human and they blend in like sleeper cell agents. They procreate, and then they raise up whatever child that they have. And as time goes on, the child may look more and more human, but eventually the bloodline of said human or whatever is still a different race. So for example, when we walk around and we see humans or whatever, we think they are us, but they're not. They're a whole different race filling out an agenda basically on some sleeper cell shit, but a different race trying to bring back their civilization or take over the one that they're on. So for example, if a different race were to come here, that they would have certain agendas that they would have to fill out. So they could not be noticed. They could not hinder anything. They would have to stay focused on the task at hand. And the entire time they're walking around among us, like he says, dress, walk, talk, all this stuff. And we have no clue what they look like or who they are, but they could be organizing in the same sleeper cell type fashion. You know what I mean? Maybe then they won't be activated, but maybe they could be walking around waiting for the cue in order to, you know, make shit happen. So for example, we see this woman right here, and these dudes are trying to holler at her, not knowing she a whole damn different race, which is crazy, because nowadays we see a lot of degenerate activity, you know, with escorts and OnlyFans and prawn and all sorts of different things. How do we know that who we're watching is this motherfucker 100% human, or is this like some sleeper cell different race bitch who was just doing what she's supposed to be doing and also procreating like crazy and bringing in a different race to basically take over? So instead of it being a political agenda, it's a foreign invader. You know what I'm saying? Because we seen in the Epstein files, motherfuckers is doing God knows what to babies and drinking blood and doing God knows what. You know, they talked about astral projecting and everything in the Epstein files. So it's nothing too far-fetched to believe from the truth at this point. So is the sleeper cell a foreign invader of a different race, is what I'm saying. Could it be a foreign invader from a different race and not a political agenda? The political agenda could just be a complete cover up or just a whole farce to throw you off the scent, when the whole time it's a whole different race trying to blend in with us to take over and bring themselves back to light, but also activate themselves later on. Cold shit to say to somebody. It's a cold shit. You do not have a choice, but yet you still have to make one. That's some cold shit, boy. Golly. So looking at the sleeper cells from this perspective, it could be a whole different race and is foreign invading the human species, and what we see on TV or what we see, whatever it could be, these species could have been procreating with humans this entire time, raising their offspring up to basically later on be future dominators of said society, but blending in quietly and harmoniously, but at any given time just waiting on the cue from, you know, other fellow race that they are to take over said society. So could the sleeper cell just be another race infiltrating the human race? Think of it from that perspective. A sleeper cell could just be another another race invading the human race, like a foreign invader from whatever planet or distant land, depending on how you look at it. If it's planets, you would think of a globe Earth. If it's a distant land, you would think flat Earth. Whatever way you want to look at it. But it's not too far-fetched to think, because nothing is outside the realm of possibility, because sleeper cells could be used in multiple different ways. If you think political, it could be the way I described earlier. If you think racial, it could be this particular way I'm describing to you now. You know, they're basically sleeper cell agents, but they're just different races disguised inside human bodies, or procreated with humans so long that the later offspring take the form or just look like humans at this point, but they're really not. We just can't tell the difference. They walk among us, talk among us, all this crazy stuff. So, you know, looking at it from this perspective, I'm gonna let him finish up what he's saying, and we're gonna wrap this one up and go to the next part. All that blood he just saw, and saw the face of one bitch, and he changed his whole mind, bruh. Shame on you. Now, his response basically could sum up while we probably going through the shit we going through now. Like, there could have been somebody who proposed something like this to the powers that be, or people who control society or whatever, and proposed a situation like this, and he was like, no, never, and then thought of a bitch and was like, yes. Like, come on, bro, like, get your but then it's just another way to look at sleeper cells from a racial perspective. Just think of it like that. That could be a way that we have sleeper cells going on, if you look at it from like a reptilian Anunnaki point of view. It could be another way. Now, the last way we're going to look at it is we're going to let this one chick, she's going to speak on sleeper cells from something that she calls a black awakening. And I'm going to let her speak on it and let her explain it. And she does a very good job of explaining it. She's going to tie in two different things into what she's talking about, which is then going to segue into us to the last way I'm going to explain this to you, as in sleeper cells from a spiritual perspective. So we're going to let her talk, as she's going to break down sleeper cells of a black awakening, and then she's going to tie it into the spiritual, and we're going to go over and end it off with that, with the last way of how sleeper cells could be looked at or could be activated. So let's go ahead and let this young lady cook, and this will be the last one. All right, here, how much time I got left? I got about 15 minutes, so I gotta run this pretty quick. So here we go. Here she goes.
Okay. I feel like I'm not being heard. We gotta talk. I need you to pull up a seat and listen. I've been trying to express to everyone about something called the Black Awakening that is happening, okay? So if you haven't heard, we're gonna go over it again, all right? Now, what I'm about to tell you is this is what the people who are participating in this stuff, this is what they believe, all right? They, powers that be. You know what I'm talking about. The Black Awakening is a hidden, generational satanic network that is allegedly embedded within governments, military, law enforcement, and society, and that would be activated during a global crisis, okay? They believe that this
Hey, she kind of cute though. I ain't gonna lie, she can catch that work. But she looked kind of crazy right there. I paused it on the wrong part.
activation would be coordinated and timed. Well, what are the phases? I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna tell you. Phase 1, infiltration and conditioning. Believers claim decades of trauma-based mind control programming, military and intelligence infiltration, occult bloodline networks, sleeper personalities created through dissociation. You ever heard about MK Ultra or Project Monarch? Ever heard of those? Interesting.
So again, she just mentioned those things. So like if you say MK Ultra or Project Monarch, which I never heard of, but what if those things could just be sleeper cells? Think about it. Those things could have been sleeper cells the entire time. They just call them something different, but the entire time it was the same concept. But we're like, oh, MK Ultra is this, but really it's just sleeper cells. And later on they call it sleeper cells. But you know what I mean? It's like the whole time it was the same shit. They just changing the wording as time goes on, but we've been seeing this stuff happen in front of our faces. But let's let her keep cooking. Let her keep going. Here we go.
Well, phase 2 would be chaos and destabilization. They expected economic collapse, war escalation, civil unrest, infrastructure disruption, mass fear events. Gosh.
I don't know. She kind of hit the nail on the head with that one. That's kind of sound like we're in phase 2 right now. Everything she just named, it sounds like we in phase 2 right now as we speak. So she on top of it right now. On top, huh? Yes, sir.
I don't know why, but all that just, I don't know where I've heard of that, but it all just feels too familiar. Anyways, the idea was that global instability would act as a trigger moment. Well, phase 3 is supposed to be that trigger event. And now this is the core of the Black Awakening claim, okay? And this is also where it gets interesting. Believers expected that a signal, one that is auditory, technological, coded, media-based, or psychic. Does anybody remember, when was that, like last year, that emergency broadcast thing that everybody was talking about? Or I don't know, I wonder if 6G could, I don't know. Anyways, they believe that pre-programmed individuals would activate at this trigger, and then coordinated violence would erupt, leading to targeted attacks on Christians or leaders. Think psychological sleeper cell activation. That's what we're talking about. Now, there's no credible evidence that any of this is going on, though, so. Well, phase 4, what do you think would be next? Well, the collapse and then rise of a global system, or maybe a new world order. See, after the chaos, they believed martial law would go into effect. Again, I swear, this sounds like something I don't know. Followed by a military takeover, a global governance structure, worldwide governance. You know, like, what if there was like a board of members that were like in control of the world? Like, you know, above the UN or something. I don't know. But then, of course, ultimately leading to the emergence of the Antichrist system.
Okay, I'm gonna cut off right there, and that's what she basically bringing all this forth, saying that this will lead us to an Antichrist system. But everything happening, you got a 6G coming up, or is it 5G? We in 5G now. We're going to 6G next, 7G, whatever fucking G's we had. We had some G, but it makes you wonder, out of all these things that they keep putting out there, we all know that it's leading us to an Antichrist system. We all know a cashless society. We understand, and the AI is gonna, AI is dominating right now. But when you look at it from that perspective, and you look at it from a spiritual awakening, I always try to look at the opposite end when it comes to spirituality, because you have everything when it comes to spirituality, we always see it from a negative standpoint. We always see the negative side of it. We never look at the other perspective. We always look at the negative, because that's the perspective that we see, and that's the perspective that we give off, and it keeps you distracted. So the more you stay distracted on the negative, the more you feed it. You feed the negative when you see the negative, and then you talk about the negative, and then you end up in fear, anger, frustration, anxiety, depression, rage, all these low frequency thoughts. Everything is on a low frequency level. You never get out of it. You're always just like, oh, you see what this happened, and you see what this did, and you always stay angry and enraged. So I say this, when we look at the sleeper cell topic that we were talking about today, could it be that everything that we've been seeing, everything that we've been talking about could be a distraction from a sleeper cell situation that could be happening on the positive perspective? If you look at the opposite side of things, every time something bad happens, what happens? It's usually a distraction to keep you looking over here while they use their hand and play around over here on this side. It's always that situation. You always get the okie doke trick, like a magician doing a trick in front of you. You never see the part where he hides something and moves it quick, because he's always got your attention looking over here. But then when the trick finally comes to fruition, you're like, damn, buddy pulled a damn fucking rabbit out of the hat. So when we look at this next video I'm going to show you, this is by David Wilcock. David Wilcock was what were you, David Wilcock? Were you a scientist? He was something. And he just passed away on 4/20 of this year. He just passed away like 2 weeks ago. I think he was one of the 18 scientists that's gone missing recently, that's been sparking debate all over the internet about these scientists that's been gone missing. I think he was one of the ones that just passed away this year. And he's going to speak on a situation of a story. This is just a story. Take it for granted. You can take it however you want. You either believe it or not, whatever. It's a story. But what I'm saying is, you tie the story into sleeper cells. In this story, you look at the opposite perspective of sleeper cells. You don't look at it from a negative side. You don't look at it from an evil side or a bad side. Look at this from a positive spiritual perspective, as in we could always be getting distracted because it's trying to give us It's trying to keep our attention feeding the negative side of things. And if we shift our perspective and only see good and only see positive, then that could change everything, how everybody thinks. Because if collectively everybody is thinking about rising food cost, gas prices inflated, dating and relationships is hard, low childbirth rate, hard to travel. Spirit Airlines, by the way, just shut down. So flights are gonna get expensive. Although I only flew Spirit once, and I never did it again. When you have a collective group of hundreds of thousands, of hundreds of millions of people thinking this way, then it's easy to drive a demographic or a whole demographic of people into a certain direction, because they're all migrating in the same direction. And that's why you only see a small few people going the opposite way, because they shift their perspective and collectively move in a positive direction, willingly, knowingly, by choice. So looking at sleeper cell agents from this perspective, could sleeper cells just be a distraction to keep people distracted from shifting their mindset to a positive perspective of an inevitable situation that may be happening, or could happen, I should say, of an inevitable situation that could happen that would cause a, what's the word I'm looking for? That would cause a battle to, go against the good versus evil battle at the end of the day, when it's all said and done. So I'm gonna let this guy speak. This is David Wilcock. If you don't know who he is, this is him right here. He just passed away on 4/20. He's gonna speak on the story of Black Jesus. And he's going to tell the story of what he's heard about a guy by the name of Simeon Toko. And listen to the story that he gives, and we'll just go from there. So here we go. This is the last one, then I got to wrap this shit up because I got to get up out of here. Here we go.
The story was probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. In the 1960s, there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. He was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say, and the cabal tried to kill him. And remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway.
Don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry. Right, and you were being told that black people didn't serve.
Didn't serve in the space program.
Right, and there were people from all races.
Right, very interesting. You don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry.
Right, and you were being told that black people didn't serve.
Didn't serve in the space program.
Right, and there were people from all races.
Right, very interesting.
Black Jesus story was probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. It came from my insider, Jacob, I call him that in the book, who actually was working for the Rothschilds and still does, and also is a whistleblower who doesn't really do what they want but continues to work for them because he feels like there's some very serious extraterrestrial threats to Earth and that what they're doing is very necessary to protect us. So the story goes that in the 1960s there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. And he was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say. And the cabal tried to kill him, and, you know, they could shoot him in the head and his skull would just regenerate and the flesh would grow back, and he was fine. And, you know, so the crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway. The story was that this guy, you know, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and sawed up his body into a whole bunch of pieces, put him in these very like radioactive shielded containers, and then had all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to all corners of the world, where then these containers turned them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices and was fully fine, fully intact. But the sad part is that he said, you know, you guys so badly do not want me to be here that I am not going to be able to do any more. You're going to get what you want, but bear in mind that in the future, many others like me will be coming, and when they do, you will not be able to stop us.
Wow.
Okay, so as you can hear what he said right there,